Three. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode 22. And I'll drink to that.
Hey, he got a cold one on him finally.
Yeah, cold. Ice cold Abita root beer. Shout out to them. They don't pay us, but
I beat a hoe up. That's what it is.
that's just messed up, right? You need to stop saying that.
It laid itself up right there. You telling me you wouldn't go for that one? You wouldn't.
I mean, like you don't get violent drinking root beer. Like, yo, man, I'm drinking this Abita and I beat this. You don't go. Violence and root beer don't go together. But I'm Junes'88 and the homie Izzyphantasmo, episode 22. How you doing, bro? How's everything shaking?
Great. Everything's good on this side right here, man. No complaints at all. Everything is good. I'm rested. It was a long week, but I'm here.
I feel you. Like I said, everything's good on my end. Everything's great. Junes World 2 is still thriving. Everybody's still feeling the joint. Everything's going good. Got more music on the way. Got more music coming up. So a whole bunch of stuff. Man, I cooked some steak yesterday, bro.
I saw the picture of the steak. This man right here was making a mean one.
Mean, bro. Mean.
This thing was popping off at him like he didn't want to be eaten, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna tame you today.
I had that mug with an ice cold Guinness with some potatoes. Me and my mom made some steak, the potatoes. She made up the potatoes. I made up man, look, that mug was good. I'm like, damn, I should have got 2 more steaks, man. It's like,
ladies, if you are out there and you were looking for a man that cook good steaks and loves a good root beer,
I make a mean steak.
This man right here knows how to get it done. This man right here is someone you want to call. Call 1-800-CAPTAIN-STEAKS.
Captain Steaks. That's so stupid, man.
I was gonna say something else, but I was like, you know what? We got to keep it clean.
Yeah. This dude been on one for the past few. He been choosing violence lately, man. Been choosing hell of violence.
Hey, look, normally you're the one that likes to jump out the window without a parachute. Someone's got to take over.
I've been chilling, man. I've been like, hey, I've been trying to keep it calm lately, man. I'm just trying.
I like it. I like the dynamic we got going on. You're the calm, copacetic one. Me, I'm starting to jump out the window, but normally it's the other way around.
Yeah, this dude has been going off lately. But speaking of going off lately, man, I'm gonna send you. I said I was gonna send you, man. I'm gonna send you.
What are you about to do?
Because it goes into the topic, our first topic. It goes into.
Why do I feel like this is? I'm kind of nervous. I got the phone opened up. I'm nervous. Oh, dang it.
You should tell my thumbnail where it's going.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Well, she done made a song about. Are we? What?
Don't play it. Don't play this. Don't play the audio. We don't want to get flagged.
What? Beside the fact, you know what? No, we gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it. Fellas, we gotta discuss something.
My man took the hat off on this one.
I would have took the glasses off, but I can't see.
Damn. His eyes worse than mine.
All right, fellas, let's talk about it. I know out there are some very beautiful women. There are some women that are that you can only see in your dreams, right?
I don't think you want to see that one in your dream.
Celebrities and whatnot. And this goes for females too, but mostly for the men today, because we got to talk about this one. Guys, red flags. We got to do better at recognizing a red flag when it's flying in our face. And unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, but unfortunately for some, The red flags, if you don't happen to see it in front of your face, you could just look to the left or to the right, and you'll be able to notice that your brother in arms, they've dealt with a few red flags, and you can learn from their mistakes.
Like I say, I don't have to, because a buddy of mine was in a situation, and he used to tell me, like, don't do what I did, bro. Don't do what I did. Like, bro, I don't have to touch fire to know it's hot. I don't know. I don't need a. I can learn from other people's mistakes. I can learn from other people who know. I don't want to be caught up in a situation like that. So I'm gonna avoid at all costs. So yeah, so continue.
Okay, so let's go ahead because I've brought this definition up how many times now? 3, 4 times?
3 episodes, yep.
Well, make it 4 because we're about to do it again. Obsession. The state of being obsessed with someone or something.
Right.
An idea or thought that continually preoccupies or intrudes on a person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what we are talking about as of right now, you need to go back a few episodes to catch up, because how do you not catch on to this right now? Zion Williamson, and the former adult film star who got her account suspended on Twitter.
Man, people were celebrating like it was Christmas.
Bruh, they were celebrating like their team won the world championship.
Duh.
We talking about Mariah Mills. And we're not going to go into like the whole 9 yards and discuss what happened, because I think 3 episodes is enough to go into the details of like what went down and why we feel the way we feel about it. But the reason I am eager to talk about this is because, again, red flags, and you hear a lot of this talk about red flags and green flags when it comes to dating, but mostly it's for about, mostly it's the women that talk about this. But guys, we need to have a discussion on red flags.
Yes, we do.
Because it seems like when it comes to females, all sense, all accountability, all everything up here flies out the window. And unfortunately, if you don't have this, you're going to deal with consequences that you could have avoided had you used this and had you used these.
Mm-hmm.
You got 2 ears and 2 eyes and 1 brain to think, to process all the information. 2 eyes to see more, 2 ears to listen in twice as much, and a mind to think about everything that could happen before you act on it. But a lot of times guys tend to like forget this exists, and they tend to just go after it, and they don't think about it until it's too late. That's when they start to think.
We think with our penises. We think majority with that.
I was trying to keep, I was gonna try and like not go that route, but unfortunately,
we just gotta keep it frank. We just gotta keep it a bean. You know what I mean?
That's why you're here. You're gonna keep it a bean.
We gotta keep it. I feel like this. Now, speaking of red flags, I want to argue, for the sake of argument, what if there were no red flags? What if it started off as a genuine relationship or whatever it was supposed to be? Then somewhere down the road, said person caught some feelings, and said person told the other person, this is what it is, but that just didn't process right in the other person, because it was one of the things that it went on too long. Like, yo, it's kind of like saying, like I said, we don't want to, because we got more stuff we're gonna talk about. Like, yo, this is what it is. We're not going beyond. It's like I said, I'm not spending no more than this amount. But so something happens where you end up spending more than you expect to spend. What that means, this relationship, whatever they had, probably went on too long. It probably went to the point where, like, yo, this person said this wasn't this, but I'm at this person's crib all the time. They're at my crib, yada, yada, yada. We doing this, we doing that. It's making it seem you're saying this, but your actions aren't what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here. It's not reciprocating. What's the word I'm looking for?
I think that was the word. Your actions, they aren't like really.
It's not showing me that you mean this. Like, you're telling me you don't, but you're acting like this. So in my mind, we're this, But
So
then,
you're saying one thing, but you're actually doing another.
there you go. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
But in his mind, like, yo, this is just, we just kicking, we just fun. It's just ha. But nigga, this is like, we've been doing this for almost, ain't no telling how long they've been fooling around. Like, y'all been fooling, this is just a thing y'all doing. In her mind, this is a full-time
I
relationship.
can understand. Okay, I can understand the argument, but again, though, like to counter your argument, if this is a thing, you're saying, okay, let's not have any feelings attached to it. That's like kind of telling somebody don't do something, and they do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's like there are moments, and I've experienced this where I've tried to, go into the whole dating scene. And whenever we go out and, whenever we, hang out or whatever, we do something or we did something, right? The intent was like, oh, we're just going to test it out and see how it plays out. But there's always that risk that feelings are going to get caught depending on how, depending on how long the communication's been going, if there's been a connection made and yada, yada, yada. Like it's happened. I've experienced it. The reason why I'm saying this is like a red flag situation is because, this is an extreme red flag situation where it's gotten to the point where where energy and attention is not being shown to the person that's wanting all the energy and attention. So now they're having to act out even more to show like, oh, it's like this is for real. And it's like it's getting to the point where at first we were like, okay, there might be a genuine thing, but now it's to the point where like, oh no, they're just desperate for the attention. They're desperate for some sort of reaction. They're desperate for some sort of response. And I feel like, and this is where, guys, I'm gonna go into the whole red flag situation. You have to be careful of who you associate. You have to choose. Like for me, when it comes to dating, whenever I get back into it, you got to be picky. You have to be picky. You have to pick and choose your battles. You have to stand on morals and stand on your stand on your own 2 feet. Really pretty much put it out there like, look, there are certain boundaries I'm not going to cross. There are certain things I'm not going to be a part of. I'm not going to do. And if the person that you're talking to is at that point of like where they're going to try and push you and push you and push you to break off from those boundaries or like to move away from all that, that should be a telltale sign that like, look, like this may not be it. Like this is not it. Because if they're not willing to respect the boundaries and respect your standards and respect anything, then you need to let it go.
And it's not a boundary thing. It's more like two, where it's like, I guess it counts the boundaries, but I let a person know up front. Like, if you already
what if they did? But what if it did? That's the thing though. It's like going back to what you said earlier. Go back to what you said earlier. You said, like, what if like there was like, okay, we're just, we're just fooling around, whatever, and there's no feelings. But yet, unfortunately, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And he's maybe tried to tell her multiple times, like, look, there's nothing to this. And then lo and behold, he's got a baby mama, he's got a kid on the way, and now she's feeling slighted because she didn't know. But what if he told her ahead of time, like, hey, look, we got to break it off because I got this happening. And she's making it seem like she wasn't never like, so you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like the jealous side chick that thought she was the main one when really that was never the case. So now she's trying to prove that she's trying to basically ruin his name because she's jealous of the fact that she's not getting all the attention anymore, that he's not with her. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where I'm going with the argument, like the whole red flag situation. Like red flags. This was a red flag to begin with, knowing the type of person that he was getting involved with. And the thing is, we wouldn't have known about this had she not said anything.
Right.
But she went out there, put her name out there, put the whole situation out there, and she's made it to a point now where she's basically making it obviously known that she's not over him. And she's waiting for him to respond, and he's not giving her that type of attention. So if he's not giving her that type of attention, what is she going to do? She's going to act out. She's going to go above and beyond to try to get his attention to make him respond.
Mm-hmm.
And like again, this goes into the red flag type of talks that the red flag type of discussion that I'm having right now. You have to be picky with who you deal with because there are people out there that once you say, "Hey, look, I'm done with it. I'm not feeling it anymore. You know, it is what it is." You try to move on, they're not going to let go.
Yep. And it
They
go. I'm a
try to
people.
they will try to hold on for as long as they can. They will try to grab onto you and hold on to whatever little bit of attention that they have on them from you as much as they can because you've you've put that time into them. And when you start to show like, yo, I'm not really with this no more, and you start to ignore them, and you start to like really show them like, I'm not doing this anymore, it's gonna get to a point where like either A, they're gonna get the message and move on with their lives, or B, they're gonna try and guilt trip you and make you feel like you have to respond out of pity, or C, they're just gonna go out and full on blow the whole thing wide open
And
until you do something.
then we're gonna get to the joke of this situation. Like I said, nowadays, if you me and my brother, Izzy, we up there. We not up there. We at an age where like, yo, you gotta let these women know like, I'm dating for this and this only. Like, yo, I'm dating to get married. I'm not dating this. I'm not gonna string you on. Yada yada yada. This is what we dating for. This is this. Are you with it or are you not? If you're not with what I'm on, please remove yourself because I am not, first of all, I don't believe in stringing the chick on. I don't believe about wasting the chick time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste her time.
Thanks.
And yeah, I don't want to waste whatever good years she feels that she has. I don't want to waste whatever good years I have because I know what kind of lifestyle I live, what I'm trying to do career wise. Same as my brother Izzy. It's like, yo, it's just like you gotta let people know when you're in the dating scene, this is what I am. Because some people I just want to fling. I just want to fling. Cool, that's not my thing. That rhymed. Do that. Go find somebody that can give you the fling life. I'm in it for the serious stuff. I'm in this mug. I'm trying to drop my anchor in this, trying to drop my anchor, plant my flag somewhere for a long time.
Thanks.
You know what I mean?
Thanks.
I'm trying to what they say about people. And if I'm trying to be a lifer, I'm trying to be spit. I want to be on this team for the rest of my life. I want to retire on this team. This is the only team I want to be on.
Thanks.
Drafted to this team. This is where I want to be. So, with that being said, get to the part where we was talking about earlier with the on the please do as I sip this cold root beer. Go ahead. Cause I saw it, you saw it, the internet saw it.
Red flags, my guy.
There ain't no red flag. That's just this hell for crazy now.
Yo, it went from red flag to radioactive.
Damn, they're like biohazard now. Like yo,
It really is biohazard because, like, bro, you got yourself in. Look, man,
buddy.
I'm gonna just say this: you got to be picky. You got to set your boundaries. You got to know what you're getting yourself into because if you don't, things could get sticky.
I see what you did there.
Shut up. Not only can they get sticky, they can get to a point where a girl will tattoo your name on their body even after you guys are no longer a thing. I've seen multiple occasions where a couple is really dope. They're really into each other. So like one of them's gonna get their name tatted on the other. It's
But
kind of
those relationship never lasts. So they always divorce or break up like a year or so later.
I've never seen it though to where like someone has gotten the other person's name tattooed on their face just to prove a point.
And what point is that they trying to prove?
You tell me. You tell me. Because as soon as I saw that, I was like, yo, now we have officially crossed the deep end. We have officially crossed the line that shall not be crossed. That should not be crossed. that should not even be
You know what's funny?
entertained.
You know what though?
She's doing this for attention. It's now apparent like it's not just obsession, it's attention now. She's like I said earlier, she is trying. To she is trying to force a reaction out. And
Yep.
unfortunately,
It's not working.
it's not working because he's not putting no effort. Like I said earlier in multiple episodes, we talked about this. I said, look, if he was to come out and was to put his side out there and was to like, squash or whatever, I think this thing would blow over, and that would be the end of it because now his team is like, because now he's actually said his piece, and maybe his team will come out and be like, look, if you don't quit, there's a lawsuit coming. And, I know for a fact that no one wants to be in court for something stupid like this. But because he hasn't done it, because he hasn't put no attention or no energy into it, she's forcing the issue even more now. She's going after it. It's like it's on constant repeat in her head. It's like listening to a song over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's what's going on. This entire situation is pretty much playing all over and over and over inside of her head. And what if this is the only way? What if this is like the only way that she's keeping herself relevant?
I mean, look at this way. She was not relevant when she was. I mean, she wasn't relevant when she was relevant. I mean, if you're in that world she was in, yeah. But other than that, she could walk down the block. I wouldn't know who she was. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, when I seen her, oh, I know who she is. I know that face. But well, he's with that. He messed with. But I feel like, why do athletes always go for like porn stars and strippers? Like, you can have any string of woman you could probably have, but you go for the trouble. They're going to try to expose you. They're going to try to swindle you out of some. You know where this road leads. So why are you going over here? Like, I know.
I think it's because it's easier for them.
Dog.
It's easy access.
Dude, I gotta say, there's women out here that would do whatever an athlete wants for half the price. Half the price of what these other women's paying.
But let's go down the road that you said earlier, because I think you said it was like a few episodes ago. Like, what if this is someone that he saw and was like, "Hey, now that I'm an athlete, now that I got this money, I have a chance," and boom, he capitalized on it.
But see, here's the issue with that part. I feel like, even with that, I feel like when you at that level of relevancy, you can have any woman you want. Like, you go for, I mean, I'll say this respectfully, you go for a porn star, of ex-porn star. You feel me? I feel like, bro, you could have had anybody. It's like, you could have dated anybody. That's how I be like, how y'all? You got these video girls, you got actual models, like published models that be you got all this, but you choose that. Like, what comes with it. That's like you walking from the store and you see Johnny the drug dealer. You know he got something in his car. He offers you a ride. Yeah, you know he might have something in there. I just live on the street. What can happen? I live 2 minutes up the street. What can happen in 2 minutes? Anything can happen in those 2 minutes.
Anything can happen.
You can pull out wherever he get out. Woo! Now you're in a car. You in jail. Now you're like, I just got
my association.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know what comes with these kind of women.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you this story.
Hold on, one more thing. My cousin they tell all these athletes when they first get to college, when they play sports.
Oh, yeah, because he's playing in Hawaii, right?
Yes. So he said, they tell you about these kind of situations. They tell you about that, when you make it, this is going, something like this may happen to you. Yada, yada, yada. I was sitting there, like, we was at his house one time. Yeah, they said, my uncle said, yeah, they tell them, they make sure they tell them. That's the first thing they tell you. Yo, be careful. This can happen. But then you got all the people, man, it ain't gonna be me, guys. It ain't gonna happen to me. It is gonna happen to you. And it will happen.
Yep. So I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I think we all know. I think we all know about the quarterback who wore John 3:16 on his eye black at the University of Florida.
Tim Tebow.
Tebow, baby, Mister.
Oh yeah, my guy.
So there's a story about Tim Tebow where when he got into the league, he was dating some sort of model. I forgot who it was. He is a professing Christian. He was a virgin at the time, and he was holding himself until marriage. The model who he was with was trying her hardest for him to break that. She tried her hardest for him to slip up and for him to, like, not follow through on that. But when he told her he wasn't going to slip up, when he told her that he was going to stay true to that, he was really holding himself, she broke up with him. She broke up. If you look at his wife now, the girl that he's with now, his wife, I think she's 10 times more than what he had before. His wife, if I'm correct, I'll have to look it up, but like, I follow both him and her. She's from South Africa, and I believe she's like a Miss Universe model. She's like a Miss Universe from South Africa.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like they like, my man held strong and found himself a gem, found himself a diamond.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's what happens when you are able to identify a red flag and get away from it. If you get away from a red flag, if you get away from those toxic women and from those toxic situations, you will find yourself in situations that are 10 times better than what you thought were good for you at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, waiting it out and being picky and standing on your morals is so much better than just going along with whatever's going on. Because 9 times out of 10, man, you don't want to end up like how some of these athletes have ended up, bro. Not even that, but like how some people in today's society have ended up, bro. Like, just because it felt good for a moment doesn't mean it's got to last. Right? Sometimes you just got to stand your ground, and when you do that, then things will work out.
Yep. Like I say, I mean, toxic girls are fun sometimes. They're cool. We've all been around them. We all met some. They're a good time. Even not even like on no sexual tip. I'm saying, like, they be like interesting to be around. They're cool. But then, like, if I mess with this girl, this may happen. Let me start. It's like, you be like, you know what? Ain't no good gonna come out of this. Let me pack my briefcase up. Let me get my jacket. I'm gonna coat. Let me go ahead and leave. Because this.
You know what? I've had that moment multiple times where, like, I've messed or I've dealt with a female of that caliber, and at first I thought, there was gonna be something to it, but then it abruptly ends, and I wonder what happened. And the more I think about it, I'm just like, you know what? That was God right there keeping me away from that, because Lord only knows what would have happened if I stuck around with it.
Oh yeah. But now let's get to the fun part.
What's up?
You had a conspiracy that you wanted to go through.
Yeah. So there's a guy that I work with. There's a guy that matter of fact, at the church that I go to, I sometimes help out in the sound booth, and there's a guy that I run with. And he brought this up to my attention. And I thought about it, and I was like, that could be a fun one. And, this goes back to calling out last week. We talked a little bit about baseball because, right. I have my Cincinnati Reds jersey on, and you were like, oh, I don't follow baseball like that. Like, I played MLB, and I was always hitting 50 home runs per season. And I was like, you're a cheater.
I'm a cheater, sir. I'm great.
I saw your sliders. You were playing on beginner.
You didn't see any sliders, sir. You didn't see any sliders.
Yeah, right.
Facetious, sir. Stop it.
I saw your settings.
Stop putting that funk on my name. Stop putting that funk on my name, man.
You were playing on rookie.
I don't put that funk on my name.
Down the middle.
I'm playing on legendary, sir.
You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? Whenever I get down to Dallas, we're gonna go to a batting cage and we're gonna see how good you really are.
I don't even know if I can get. I don't even think I still got it.
Well, we're gonna find out one way or the other.
But get to the moral of the story.
Okay, so a buddy of mine tells me, like, you ever heard about the juice ball, the juice ball theory? And I'm like, I've heard about it. I know what that's about. What I have here is a Rawlings baseball, signed and authenticated, as you can see here, signed and authenticated, signed, sticker, and another sticker. Now, you're probably wondering why I have this baseball in my hands. This baseball could possibly have been juiced. This baseball right here possibly could be.
So if that baseball is juice, would it be worth more money?
No.
No, man.
No. So you're probably wondering, like, what does juiced even mean? Well,
you told me, but I'm thinking like it got to be more than it's not. Like I'm thinking like it ain't what you think it is. Like I'm like, all right, let me watch this video he sent me about juice baseball. All right, let me see what it.
I sent him the video because I was like, I was wondering like how I was gonna bring this up, and the video popped up in my feed, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I watched the whole thing, and I'm like, makes sense,
right?
So when you saw the video, give me your idea. Like, what do you? Because I know you don't really follow baseball, but when you saw it, what were you thinking?
I was thinking like this. When it got to the part where they were talking about teams and the balls they have, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, all right, my mind went right back to the Deflategate with Tom Brady.
Right.
But in the NFL situation, they say every team has a certain amount of balls. And the ball is like to the quarterback's liking. So some quarterbacks like the ball a little tighter. Some people like some quarterbacks like the ball like a little looser or something. Right. They like the ball a certain way. I'm like, all right. With the team ball, like I'm thinking like maybe certain teams they want a certain size ball for their players. Mm-hmm. Maybe like certain ball for their players or certain. I mean, how would it go? Like, because if the Cubs play this team, then the pitcher throwing the ball, you wouldn't. You know, y'all go. I'm going. You go. I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to make a certain way. Like, oh, they want to throw it. Basically, I guess you want to throw a certain ball to throw the team off, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's like that. But then when they went to the detail of like, I'm thinking like, does the size of a ball really matter if it hits a home run or not? Because you got to actually hit the ball to hit the home run. So I'm like, when they say like over X amount of home runs in the season, like, okay. Then it got back to when you sent me when I see that picture about what game was it? It was 24-0. Like, that's like, bro, how is that score? Like, what did they do? Mm-hmm. Like, you want to talk about shaving point something like there's the eye. I've never seen a game of baseball that many points in a game. Now, if you want to say something fishy was going on in a situation like that, I think you may be on to something.
Okay, so let me just break down something to you because I was watching this video. There's a few key points, a few little details that jumped out to me. So there was a player who on the Texas Rangers by the name of Danny Santana, and from 2014 to 2021, it logged about how many home runs per year he had.
Right.
So just follow the pattern. So in 2014, this man had 7 home runs. In 2015, he had nothing. In 2016, he had 2. 2017, he had 4. 2018, he had 0. 2020, he had 1. In 2021, he had 5. Did you catch what I just did?
It was low in the middle.
I skipped a year.
Oh, COVID year.
I skipped 2019 because if you noticed the pattern that I said prior to all those other years, from 2014 to 2021 minus 2019, every year he had an average of about 2.5 to 3 home runs per season. There was only 2 years where he didn't have a home run.
Right.
In 2019, he had 28 home runs.
20 what?
In 2019, he had 28 home runs. Now, let's break it down even more. In 2018, the home run total for that year was 5,585 home runs.
Right.
In 2019, it went up by 1,200. In 2019, there was 6,776 home runs. Which means that from 2018 to 2019, it was a 17.5 drop. Well, actually, no. From 2019 to 2020, it was 17.5% fewer home runs from 2019 to 2020. But that number increases from 2018 to 2019. Now, you're probably wondering, with all this talk, you're like, oh, what's all this about? Like, why are we talking home runs and percentages and numbers? Well, there was an astrophysicist who decided to do a study on the home runs and why there was so many all of a sudden, why there was a spike. And the story goes that this astrophysicist who started doing these studies at first was working in lockstep with the MLB, and everything was copacetic. Like, they would give her samples like of baseballs. And what she did was she would break down the baseball all the way. Like, she would de-thread it. She would take.
I saw that.
She
took
would
the measurement and everything.
She would de-thread it, take the hide off, take the yarn, everything off, and measure it. And what she noticed was that the materials that were being used was actually being reduced to make the ball bounce off the bat a lot more, to give it that extra pop.
Right.
But then around 2019 and 2020, and even going into 21, you noticed that, especially, let's say, in the postseason. Now, keep in mind that 6,776 home run total, right? That was in the regular season. So more home runs were being hit by that time. In the postseason, balls that should have been a home run were dying in the field about 5 feet away from the fence. Right. And that was happening all throughout the postseason. And people were trying to figure out, well, why is it that we had so many home runs throughout the regular season, but all of a sudden there's there's not that many happening? Come to find out, those balls, the juice balls, as they were later found out to be, those smaller baseballs that were made by the MLB, not by Rawlings, but by MLB themselves, they were getting mixed in along with balls from other seasons.
And then I remember them saying, like, they want to, or you said it, they want to make the game more entertaining. You know, I feel like in a way, but then again, I'm gonna go back to, they had different balls for different events. Like, they had one mark for, like, if say you about to hit
like derby. You had special events like the Field of Dreams game.
And then if you're like on a mark to hit like 5,000, whatever the number is, like, they get a certain player get a certain ball or something just for them to hit it. If I'm not mistaken, if that's the direction it was going with.
Now, that could be the direction that they're going in. The thing is, though, like, there's no clear evidence to say like that was the case. Like, you had.
No, I'm saying, like, as far as marking of the ball, like, they got different balls and different events. I'm like, my thing is, if you're making all these balls for different events, how many balls does every game have? So it's like every game, it has like 2,000 balls, right? Or whatever the case may be.
Let's find that out right now.
Please do, because I'm going somewhere with this. Because I'm saying, if you got a certain amount, do they re-up on the leftover balls? Or do they like? It's like it don't make sense. It won't make sense because it's more like okay, it's like because like I said, like in the NFL, like every quarterback has a ball made tailored to their liking.
Okay.
It's not like um what's my man name?
Tom Brady?
Not Tom Brady in the NBA, in the NFL, in the MLB. Derek Jeter got a certain kind. I want to hit a ball with this dimension, this weight, this size. I want a little bit of give on it, but not too much give.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I
You know
get
what I'm
what you're
saying? Like I only
saying.
hit like you know what I'm saying. Like he not did it custom balls to
I
hit
don't
it. Get
okay,
him.
so I don't think around Derek Jeter's time they had that issue. I don't think they had it. But just listen to this. So
I'm not
baseball,
saying that he did that. I'm just saying I'm
yeah,
giving you an example.
okay. So you asked how many baseballs are used per game, right? Just a
Right.
regular game.
Yes, sir.
Between 8 and 10 dozen. So that's about 96 to 120 baseballs every single night.
That ain't bad. That's not. They gonna have something left over. How many innings? How many regular innings are in baseball again?
Nine innings.
Do they
Nine.
go? They go all nine, right? Or like nine, like the like overtime innings, right?
And when you go into extra innings, then they'll have like extras. So put it like this: 120 baseballs are used per game. You go over 182 games throughout the entire season.
You're not hitting all those, are you? All the balls not getting used. They're not, right?
Believe it or not, they are
So all those get used, like
per
really?
year. 2,900, 291,600 balls per year. So that's wait, 291,600 balls are used per year, and then you got the postseason as well.
Okay, so
So about roughly 2 to 300,000 balls are being used per season per year in the MLB.
okay,
Now, with that being said, when it comes to a ball like this, right? There's always the chance that an MLB regulated baseball could be juiced, or it could be a regular base, or it could be a what they call a dead ball or a Goldilocks ball, where it's perfectly in the middle,
right.
where it's
So
not
how
going
do you before you get in that? How would you even know if a home run? Okay, say the year of the
to
home run.
feel of it. The pitchers know by the feel of it.
So can't they say, yo, something? This is a funny ball. Like, don't.
So what I notice whenever I watch baseball is that some pitchers, what they'll do is like they'll get the ball right and they'll like kind of feel it out first. Because I always wondered like, why is it that when a pitcher gets the ball, they'll take the glove off and they'll like start doing this? Why are they doing this for? They're getting a feel of the ball. They're trying to get a good sense of like how this ball is gonna feel for them. And what I notice is sometimes some pitchers will do this and then they'll throw their hand up and they'll throw the ball they had away because they don't like how it feels. With a juice ball, it tends to be smaller, and these strings they tend to be raised up a little bit more. And what ends up happening is it causes blisters in the pitcher's hands. A dead ball is not going to have this yarn is not going to be as raised up. It's going to be just dug in just enough to where they get a good grip on the ball, and it's not going to hurt them as much, but it's not going to be as it's not going to have that much pop to it. So what ends up happening is what should be a regular home run ends up dying in the field of play. So let's say you hit a baseball, right? If it's a juice ball and you hit it with a exit velocity of like 91 miles an hour, because depending on how hard you hit the ball, you can hit a ball between 90 to 120 miles per hour. That's coming off your bat. An average pitcher can throw one of these at like 95, 96 miles an hour. Going off of your bat, depending on how you hit it and where you hit it on your bat, you could be hitting it off with an exit velocity of 91 to 95 to almost 120.
Oof.
And depending on the launch angle that the ball is coming off your bat, you could hit it 350, 375, 420, 485. It all depends on there's a lot of variables that goes into hitting a home run.
Right.
But if you have a dead ball that's in use and you hit that ball just enough, that ball should carry. It should carry at least over the fence, just barely over the fence. And if let's say you're hitting it dead center, which could be about like 385, 400 in most ballparks, that dead ball could fall 5 feet away from that fence. A juice ball could go 10 feet over that fence. A Goldilocks ball is going to be square in the middle. So that ball is just going to get to a point where like it barely goes over that fence. It's going to just barely by like a foot or two get over that fence. Just enough to where a player can jump up and possibly rob it.
Right.
So there's a lot of variables when it comes to a juiced baseball and whatnot. And I'll even go as far as to say this. And this could be a discussion for another day. But you know how you brought up Derek Jeter?
Right.
Well, let's go back and let's talk about certain records like Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. They all had home run records. They were all breaking records left and right. How many of those records were broken legitimately?
Are you asking like
not the baseball, the person? Because those three names all have one thing in common. Do you know what that is?
I think I know. Something that you don't supposed to do in sports? A funny juice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's another discussion for another day. But the question is, with those three playing in those home run records that came out, and those records that have been broken time and time again, how many of those guys broke those records legitimately? And how many of those guys broke those records with a little bit of help?
Okay. I'm gonna ask a question to that question. And who fault is that on if the balls are funny? Is it the player's fault or the team?
This falls on the MLB. Because
no, hold on. I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna throw it to you like this. You the baseball man. Say your rookie year, because you did what is it? The double A, then it's a triple A, then it's MLB, right?
Double A, triple A, and MLB.
Your rookie year in MLB. Let's just say for the sake of whatever, you go on an unbelievable tear.
Like a heater.
Here you go. Say how many games in MLB again?
It's 162.
So say for God knows what, you hit like 50 home runs. Like you just clobbering, like you just it's phenomenal. The drug testing you pass, like you're passing every drug test they give you. Like I'm not on anything, I'm just good. Like is it the ball? And how can you really? It's like from my understanding, you really can't test the ball because it's different balls, like in different situations. From my understanding, so it's like you really can't check it. It's really no way you can like say it's the ball, in my opinion. Like listening to it, like it's not like in NFL. If I don't know the capacity of a football air, how much air, like so it was to say the ball like at 90 percent air capacity. But if Dak Prescott likes the ball at like 85, and you could tell, when the ball ain't got a lot of air in it. Because if you squeeze it, it's gonna go in, right?
Right.
So, if I'm a defender and I catch this ball, this ball is easy to catch. I can grip this ball better.
Okay, so just to give you a bit of context, so per NFL rules, it stipulates that game balls must be inflated to have pressure range between 12.5 psi to 13.5 psi.
So what's the lowest it can be at then? Like what's the
The lowest it can be is at 12.5.
Okay, say Dak or Jalen or Lamar, Joe Cool, all those guys, they like their ball right at that mark. So you could test that. Like, yo, something is like this ball is like, it's funny, like this ain't fair. Say
Right.
it's below that. Say it's like whatever Tom Brady had, and when he got in trouble, that's where the ball is at. Like, yo, this ain't fair, unfair advantage. Cool. You can detect that. You can test that. You can see. All right. But in baseball, it's like you got over 100 some ball, 2,000
100,
balls,
300,000 balls. Yeah.
and half of those balls are going over the fence. Half of those balls are getting given away after the game. You can't really check it.
Now, here's the thing. That astrophysicist that was doing these tests,
Right.
she was getting samples. She was getting actual balls that were being used at the field from anonymous sources within the ballparks. 22 ballparks, over 200 balls were given to her, and that's how she was able to get her sample. Robert Manfred, right? The commissioner, he put a notice out basically saying not to give this person any more baseballs, and that he was willing to fire people that were going to give her these baseballs because she was finding out the information and she was putting out these studies that was pretty much showing that the MLB was complicit in using balls that were juiced,
Because
pretty much creating an unfair playing advantage, you know, per the entire game. Now I get it. You want to create a product that is enticing, that's interesting, that people can get into. This is America's pastime. You want to get everybody involved, right? But if the integrity of the game is in question, you want to be sure that, you are playing by the book and that there's no kind of funny business happening whatsoever. But the fact that you got the commissioner coming out and trying to stifle this type of study. And the thing is, though, had these studies not come out, we probably wouldn't even know about this. Exactly. But because this is going on, because these studies have come out, and because people have been saying, like, yo, this is not right. The players have even started saying, like, something's not really clicking.
You know what, though? I'll say this. Now, like I said, I'm not saying this ain't no bad. This is like me as an outsider not knowing baseball that well.
I'm just getting into it like as deep as it is. Like normally I'm the football guy, but because I've been keeping an eye on baseball for so long, like I'm starting to really get invested in it.
And I'll say my thing is I would feel like if the ball was altered to a point where you could tell, like if it was like I seen her how she showed the inside of a baseball. Like if it was like that, but it was hollow on the inside, like where it would be like hollow, where like you could tell, like it still had a little weight to it, but like how something had like a bowling ball, it's hollow on the inside. But like it was one thing like it was like lighter, or it's like it gave the feel of like this is a regular baseball, but like kind of hollow on the inside or something like that, or the main component inside of the main component piece that go into making a whole baseball that it's not there. Like, yo, this is, and you could visually tell, like, yo, these dudes are knocking these. Everybody, if it's like every player going at the bat, knocking them over the fence, okay, nah, some ain't right.
You got like going back to Danny Santana, like you got a player who's not known for hitting so many homes, but like all of a sudden they're knocking like 20 to 30 home runs for that year, and it's like,
okay, next question: how many people go up the bat in one in an inning?
In one inning?
Yeah, like so in the first inning, like how many people get turns at bat?
Oh, normally, it depends on like how the team is doing. So like you could have like a team go
at the start of a game. Like how many people? I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay, so regular game, you can have a simple 1, 2, 3 inning where the first 3 guys they go in, they get out, move on, other team gets a try, and then you have games where like a team will bat around, which means all 9 guys get a chance to go up to bat.
Okay.
Let's take into consideration. Let's go back to the Angels when they played the Rockies. Remember how you asked me the question, how is it that a team got 24 runs in one game?
Yeah.
You saw, if you looked at that box score, you noticed that in the third inning, they had 13 runs in one inning. That means all 9 guys got up to the plate at least once, maybe 5 or 6 of those guys got up to the plate twice.
Now look, now here we go. We're gonna go with that scenario. If in a game, all 9 guys hit home runs back to back, everybody get them like, yo, something now my antenna's going off. What is going on? Then the next team can't get no home run. Like, I kind of know. I play MLB enough times to know that it's impossible to hit a home run, let alone hit a back to back. So
you gotta get the right pitch at the right spot. Like
yeah,
I've seen guys I've seen guys hit a ball, what they call outside the zone. Like let's go back to that. Like, you know how I hit you with the middle joke last week where I showed you
yeah,
what the strike box could look like.
yeah,
Okay, so let's say this is the strike box, right?
yeah,
A lot of guys will pretty much look for something within the middle, within their barrel range, right? But what a lot of pitchers do is, like, depending on who they're batting, who they're facing, they'll throw it away from the person, or they'll throw it inside just to tie the guy up, or just get him to swing up, just to swing just above it. I've seen guys where the ball is like outside the zone, like it's whether like inside, like just inside to where like you can barely hit it. They'll go out and get it, or like if it's outside that zone, or like if like the box is here, that ball's gonna be like right here, and they'll still find a way to connect with it.
right.
Well,
So
there's some guys that are able to do that, but 9 times out of 10, they're all looking for like something within the zone that they can hit for real, that they can get a good swing on.
right, cause I'm like saying like now if that's the honest case of if somebody hitting, if like I say, if everybody hitting home runs back to back, everybody hitting home runs, I'm like, all right, something. I know. I mean, maybe the baseball guys are really on y'all side in this game. Some just ain't gonna fly right. Like I say,
Like, I feel bad for Fernando Tatis Jr. in the Padres. I'm wearing their cap right now, but I think he said it best. I don't know if we got the baseball gods are upset at us right now, but we can't get a hit. And I mean, who knows? Maybe the baseball gods are real. I don't like to believe that that's a thing. I just like to believe that a team doesn't really, that they're not performing the way that they're supposed to. That they just need to shape up and get better and like find a way to like break out of their slump or whatever. But who knows? Like, maybe it's just not your year. Maybe it's just not your season. Maybe like you had success one year and all of a sudden it's like, having that Super Bowl hangover. Like, okay, you made the playoffs, you made a deep run, and all of a sudden now you're just going through a stint where like, okay, you're not going to do as good, or it's just not it's just not your year. It's
yeah,
just not your time.
right. And I just feel like, like I said, I'm not baseball savvy, but like to see this, it's interesting. Like I would like to know if it could come out because I would like the only way that gives it like something may be up because they like trying to shut her down. I don't give her no more stuff, guy. Like for you to shut it down, like yo, that lets me know like all right, something ain't right. Something that makes you look even more guilty than what you already are. Like, yo, you doing something you're supposed to.
So
Because
fun.
like,
So funny enough, I know you saw the video, but there was a point where, like, for the most part, they would refute her studies, and they
right,
even conducted a study of their own. And they're like, "Oh, look, yeah, we're innocent. You do an investigation on yourself. You investigate yourself, and you're like, oh, see, I did nothing wrong." But
right.
there was a moment where like it was brought up, her study, and they were, Robert Manfred was like, they acknowledged it. They were like, yeah, yeah, this happened. But they claimed it was like, oh, well, we weren't able to produce baseball, so we kind of had to reuse some and yada yada. And it's like, yeah, that's an excuse you could use. But the fact that you just admitted to like using baseballs that were either home run friendly versus home run, anti home run, is like, you're kind of now in a position where like now you're being watched. Now you're kind of being under scrutiny. And the fact that you're trying to deny this person who's doing actual work to like do studies on you guys to ensure that you're keeping the integrity of the game like as sound.
Okay, I want to ask this question.
That is like,
I want to ask this question.
Maybe there's some guilt you need to admit to.
And before we get, I want to ask this: is keeping integrity in baseball? Is there any integrity in sports anyway? Because there's things where you look at like, yo, how did this?
Trust me. I can go ahead and tell you right now, the integrity of the game is there, but there are moments where you're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, you're gonna watch a game live and you're like, yo, what do you like? Someone had money. Like, perfect example. I'm gonna give you a perfect example, and then we'll go ahead and shut it down. I was watching the Padres play. Was it Tampa? I think it was Padres playing Tampa. They were playing in San Diego. There was a double play that happened that caught a lot of attention. I think it was, I forgot who it was that hit into the double play. There was a guy named Jake Cronenworth. He's at first. He's running the second. He's like halfway down the line to second, like almost to it. The umpire that's behind second, normally when a play starts, they tend to like run behind, like they tend to run away so like they don't get involved in the play. This umpire ran into the play, and Jake had to like kind of pump the brakes and move the guy out the way, and he fell over, and he ended up being the third out. Now, what was crazy about the situation is you had the commentator. The commentator was like, "Oh, wow, wait a minute, what? That's new. I've never seen that." And you hear another commentator, Don Rosillo. He's like, "Yo, like, what happened?" He's like, "Bro, I've never seen an umpire do that before. I don't know how to explain that." They show the replay, and you see the umpire who's behind second base blatantly run in front of Cronenworth. And Cronenworth literally had to try and juke out of the way, like push him out the way so that he can get around him. And he ended up tripping and falling. As soon as he got up, he looks at the umpire and he's like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, why did you run in front of me like that? You're supposed to run behind." And the umpire just did this. He's like, "Hey, I mean, I'm in the field. I'm part of the field of play." It's like hockey. If the puck bounces off the referee at that moment, you know, it's all fair game. Like, even if it bounces off the referee's skate and into the net, you know, he may not have meant to be in the action. He may not have meant to kick the puck in, but because it went off his skate and into the net, it's still a good goal because he's part of the field of play. And that was the argument that the umpire was making. Like, oh, he's in the field of play. He's part of the action. He's part of the field of play. And the bad part about it is for Jake Cronenworth or for any player in that situation, had they argued with that umpire, they probably would have got tossed out the game and they would have got fined for arguing as well.
Right? It's like I say, when it comes to like, well, in the comments, let us know what y'all think about this topic. This has been a very interesting episode of the Show About Nothing. I'm your host, JunesEightyEIght. And a homie
Phantasmo in the building. Please be careful of females who want to tattoo your name on their face because of whatever. As a red flag, avoid it at all costs.
Yep. And like always, comment, like, subscribe, and we are out of here.